Okay, hello and welcome to the final Saturday Movie Crap Live. How is everyone doing? Did I hear myself? Okay. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. How is sorry, how is it going? We are here. Oh, you're right. Thank you, Cornbread. Thank you for letting me. Thank you. Good job. I had it all set up too, but I forgot, of course, again. Hello, Austin, Nattenbach64, Bloxiak and Winkle, of course, Cornbread. Uh, Instagram. I do want to do that. Well, I'll do that while we're talking. Hey, I have to send you a sappy DM later. Okay. Well, thank you for doing that, I guess, but please send it to me when you are there. Sinram, uh, Purple Goop, Javier Portello, Jacob Shelter. I think I said Unbox64, but if I didn't, hello. Um, who else is in here? Oh, Super Adusky, who did a cool thing last night. But yes, so we'll just switch over, get this shit started. Where's OBS? Where are we? Okay, hello. How is it going? Welcome again. So this is not the last one ever. We're moving the show to weekdays going forward. Hold on, I didn't put my charger in. Um, like, oh, Ryan Walterson's here. Hello. We're going to be moving to Wednesdays moving forward, starting with Wednesday, November 15th will be the first one. But this is going to be the last of the ones on Saturday, which is kind of um, which is sad. I wanted to do kind of a farewell, last Saturday one, which is what this one is. I don't know. It gets a little tough to do them on Saturday, so I think going forward it works better. But it's nice because the show started on Saturday to give it. Give Saturday a good farewell. I think is cool. Hello, Alex B. Raff. How's it going? Which I think, what if Jim adds an extra day to the weekend? That's true. That would be cool. I think everyone should have a 3-day weekend, I guess, if anyone was wondering my thoughts on that. Deleting Saturday and making the week 6 days long. I would never delete Saturday. Saturday is too chill. Hello, K Master. Um, unless Spider-Man made those webs. Did he? That'd be cool. Anyway, they do go back tonight. So that's kind of neat. Anyway, yeah, so this is I did want to say thank you all for hello Ramsey the artist. Being here, everyone who's been here. I think there's certain people who've been here almost every Saturday, or most of the Saturdays, and thank you for doing that. Um, I hope many of you are able to show up on the first Wednesday one. After that, I'm not sure when the next one is because I can't really stream the week of Thanksgiving, but there'll be more streams than there used to be. So in a way, this will work out if you like this show. If you don't, I guess that won't. But if you do, then it will. My Halloween was good actually. Well, actually, it wasn't. Well, I didn't. I had to work, so I didn't actually get to do trick or treating, which sucked. But I did get to watch. Thank you for saying something because so much has happened in life in general. I was like, whoosh. I'm making it feel so grand. Well, I feel like, this is like the new era. There was sort of the original era. There was like the comeback every month thing. And now this is the new, like, we're fully back. But the real first era, I guess, is when it was not a live show. When it was like that weird news cut up show, which was like, I don't know about that. Um, whatever. Yes, Halloween was okay. I did get to watch a cool movie, which I didn't. I promised myself I'd watch some horror movies and not like review them, so they're just like for funsies. And I did Intruder, which is a cool one because Sam Raimi is in it with Ted Raimi, and it oh man, a lot of headroom. I'm not sure I love it. I'll talk about this while I move the camera a little bit. Sorry, it's always a rush to. Okay, that's a little better. Ted Raimi and Sam Raimi are in it, but it's basically about a convenient supermarket at night, and a slasher comes in and sort of kills the night crew as the night goes on, and it's basically like this one girl's abusive boyfriend, which is kind of interesting. One of the few times I've seen them go, oh, the killer's just an abusive boyfriend, which I guess is sort of, a real life thing. But the only thing with that, and it's written by Lawrence Bender, who would go on to produce a lot of Tarantino shit. But it's late. It's like 89 for a slasher is odd. But I will say what I like about it is I like it because I was like a little drunk, a little hazy, and it was like met me perfectly what I wanted at that time. But the one thing about it is the kills were like way gorier than the movie you'd expect from this movie. But like no one in the movie has, like, you don't really, other than like Sam Raimi, because he's Sam Raimi, you don't give a shit about like anyone. Like no one has a distinct personality other than like girl or guy with headphones or guy who stacks things. Like they're just like so superfluous. So like when they get killed, you're like, oh, I mean, okay. I mean, it just like didn't like that was the one part of it. It was like it's very much like genre format only, and that's about it. But it was like good at it. It was just like very tight in that. But I'd seen like a trailer when I was researching what is genre, and I did get a little obsessed, but I didn't have the time to watch it then. And I was going to do Nosferatu, but I forgot who said this on here. Said, oh, well, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu is coming out, so you could review it then. And I was like, well, if I have another reason to watch Nosferatu, maybe I should finally watch a horror movie I've always wanted to. So I did get to watch, what was it, Intruder and Pet Cemetery. So I watched two, and I got to, yeah. And sorry that, man, when what's it? Not Five Nights at Freddy's, but no one will save me. That, my God, I had so many stupid issues trying to get that video done. And even this week, like, a kid would wake up and start crying or like all this stuff in the middle of the night, and I just had to stop editing. But then, I'm not even joking, when I was doing Five Nights at Freddy's, I was like, all right, I just need to finish this. It's not going to take too long. And then, like, my headphone cable broke. And I was like, how the fuck? Anyway, I had another one. It's headphones where you can swap out the cables, and I found the other one. But it was like comical, the amount of stupid shit this week. Anyway, Cornbread's behind a lot lately. So this is going to be... Sorry, I'm always complaining. I don't know. I don't mean to bitch. It's just like I sort of just want you to know. It's like, why did that take so long? And I feel like lately I should just be honest about, like, the dumb shit. Although after I finally got it out, I did take Thursday off and watch Scavenger's Reign. I still did a bunch of stuff, like finished like The Ride with a Stranger. Hey, Quicksilver, what is up? I finally got Ride with a Stranger commentary out. I finally got the postcards. Like, I did a lot of stuff, but I still had a lot of time, and I was just like, I should just watch Scavenger's Reign. And man, that 5th episode, holy shit, that is like, that, I don't know. Also, I'm not a big binger, and that show's cool to binge because, like, you really do not expect what the next episode will be, and your mind will just be like, what the fuck? Anyway, I have not gotten a first super chat. I've sort of revealed a drink because it is like the original drink I always take, but I actually got a super chat last night while I was premiering Five Nights at Freddy's. So I'm going to honor, if you, I don't really get super chats during like premieres, but I guess if it happens, if someone wants to do that, that's totally cool. I'm not going to demand you do or don't or anything, but if it does, I will. Let's say I'll do it, I'll bring it up during the live show. Why not? It's something special. So Super Dudusky or Black Ant, $5 super chat and said, instead of Five Nights at Freddy's, here's $5 at Jim. I can't wait for Movie Crap Live tomorrow. So thank you for that. And yes, let's get the monitor up. Where we go? Here we go. The original sugar-free Red Bull there that I used to drink. I thought it'd be cool to, close out Saturdays with a return guest here. Cheers to you, Super Dudusky. So if anyone wants to do a super chat during a premiere, I will honor them later because I obviously can't drink I mean, I could, but you're not gonna. It's not as fun, I guess. I don't know. There we go. I don't know if me drinking energy drinks is that thrilling, but I did review the original Nosferatu. Was it 7 years ago? Might have been. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm trying to think of anything else. The week goes by and you're like, wow, so much happens, and I don't know. Anyway, I just want to thank everyone who made this show what it is and made me able to do this, and all your support over the years. And I really thank you all. This is not a final show. I just thought it'd be a nice way to say, hey, what's up, Catbot? All right. I think that's everything, isn't it? Oh, I guess this coming week, Killers of the Flower Moon, the first of the movie review vote winners, some of the Scorsese shorts, finally, Saddle Rash, stuff like that. Also, tonight we're going to do one segment, and I kind of want to answer a lot of questions. I didn't actually have time to do a ton of the stuff as much as I wanted to, so we're going to do Superbuns, a show that I'm pretty sure Austin did all of, and a bunch of people just sort of like took credit for it. So Austin did pretty much everything, and there's like other people who say they worked on it. I don't know, but I feel like I'm gonna make him my enemy by doing this or something. But we will review the show that he worked on in some capacity as a segment today. And then we'll just do a bunch of questions, and the show probably will end at 12:45. I think if we go don't say nobody thinks that's true. I'm sorry. Austin, why don't you say what credit you do have? But I will review it. I won't say that. Anyway, sorry. Hello, Green Wings Pair. I'm really sorry. Yeah. But yeah, we'll just close this out. I think there's enough to talk about, I hope. But yeah, after 12:45, if I don't end later, if I end any later, I'll fall asleep. And I've only fallen asleep on a stream once when I don't think they go by Gables anymore, and I don't know their name now. But I fell asleep. It was like me, Neska, and Gables when I was doing the first BronyCon. I don't know what happened to that stream. I don't even know. Anyway, it was fun when I used to do that. All right. Let's just get into this. This and everything I do is supported by you, the fans. Either when I take a nice Red Bull swig during the show, if you want to do a super chat for the last Saturday show, or through my Patreon, where you get all sorts of cool stuff. You either get my commentary series, which you only get if you're a patron, with The Ride with a Stranger, which just came out. You can listen to that and others. You as well. Yes, this is the last one, Carter, right? This is the last movie crap for Saturdays, but then we'll move to weekdays. But it's going to continue to be coming out a lot more regularly, sort of. But when I'm able to do it and don't have family visiting, I guess that's what I'll say. However, yes, this and everything I do is supported by you, the fans. Patreon has, and also I sent out postcards with a special film round video picture, which you will only get through those. I'm going to do one for Thanksgiving and Christmas, which will not be late like the Halloween one was, and all sorts of cool stuff, as well as more power in the movie review vote. You get emails when the videos come out, all sorts of neat stuff like that, and it also helps support the show and helps me publicize the show, buy things, probably get hosting so I can make this into a podcast as well. All sorts of cool stuff that help me expand, and if you like to do that. Gables goes by Tracy now. Okay, I actually didn't know because I haven't talked to Tracy in a long time, so it was less. I hope that's not construed as dead naming because I just didn't know, and I haven't talked to Tracy in a long time, so more of a out of touch thing. I don't think anyone's getting mad, so it's fine. I don't know why I'm getting weird about that. Okay, anyway, but if you're just watching. If you're just watching and liking always helps, or subscribing and all that. But if you're just watching and that's all you financially are able to do, thank you for being here. I very much appreciate it. I really do. As long whatever you're financially able to do, I thank you very much for that. I think that's all things. Also, subscribing helps because you get updates, you get throwback videos, which are posted in the community tab as well as notifications when the videos come out, and you can see when the premieres happen and hang out with me in the chat, which I almost am when I premiere a video, other than the shorts, which doesn't really work because they're like short. Anyway, so also check out my Discord, which is run really well by Austin and Zane Powers. They have Friday night movie nights where they all watch movies. They have the Ask Jim channel where people ask me questions and I answer them. I think there's a few I need to answer now. There's General, where I ask people like what they want me to talk about during the show. There's Movie Crap Stories, where you can actually submit stories if you would like to. There's I think it's licensed or novelty trade playing card channel, all sorts of stuff like that. They watched the Bionicle movie. Oh, cool. It was a birthday movie choice. If your birthday comes up, you get to pick the movie. Oh, that's cool. All right. So all sorts of cool stuff. Also, Cornbread's thumbnail predictions, which I haven't seen his as well, but they do. Austin Zane Powers do an amazing job. It's a great community, and if you like the chat here and you're like, oh, I can never be there on Saturdays or something like that, you can go on there anytime and participate in the daily question or anything like that. It is there for you. It's wonderful, and I really like it. And it's the only Discord I go on, to be perfectly honest with you. So, or really post on, I think. Yeah, I'd say so. Anyway, oh, okay. Ooh, what's Sinray I'm gonna pick? All right. So let's also follow me on Twitter, TikTok, the Instagram. I got a personal and a Reels one, Facebook fan page, all that stuff, Tumblr. Check in the description if you like to follow any of those, or if you're not and you're like, oh, that'd be cool, I'd like to get updates, and you can. All right. So, let's get into where am I? Sorry. Let's see. Whoop-a-doop-a-doo. Sorry, getting the script over here. Are we going? I think we're gonna start with the Marvel stuff. This time, and then probably go into the SAG stuff, because the Marvel stuff's sort of a big chunk, and I think that is sort of the biggest story of the week. So there was a article in Variety, written by what's her name, Tatiana Siegel, who did. It's sort of an interesting article because I will say a lot of it we sort of guessed and we could have known and had been surmised and rumored, but it was sort of more confirmation of a bunch of things and stuff like that. So we'll just get into as much as I can. I hope I remember, because there's so many different things, as well as the Echo news will be a part of this. This will all just be a Marvel chunk at the beginning. But basically, this phase is not happening. Is not going over very well. And Marvel and Disney is freaked the fuck out. And they're not sure what to do going forward. The thing is with this, and I want to cap this off, everybody's going, is Marvel over? What's going to happen? Nobody's going to give a shit about Marvel. Comic book movies are dead. There's fatigue. Here's the thing about all this, and like, I do not think it is entirely over. And that's not because I grew up reading comic books or anything like that. It is because if you look at the top 5 highest grossing movies, 2 of them are comic book movies, and also 2 of them are based on Marvel characters. That does not, in my mind, say there's fatigue. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's like if they weren't in the top 10, I don't know. However, their prominence is lessened. I'm not going to sit here and act like, you know, it's still as big as it was. But by nature, this phase and this whole phase between, you know, Endgame and when the X-Men hit and Fantastic Four hit, I don't think Fantastic Four will be this billion-dollar film unless they like really hit it out of the park. I think X-Men is really the big property. But the thing with X-Men is once X-Men hits, it takes over. It's if you remember, if you read comics, X-Men sort of takes over. So I will get to your super. That is very generous, Syndrome. Thank you very much. But I will get to that. So I think we're kind of like in this in-between phase where they're building up other characters because they know when the X-Men hit, it's not going to just be an X-Men movie. It'll be like Wolverine gets a movie, whoever the new Wolverine's going to be, and Deadpool has his own thing, and X-Force and that and this and that. So it's like they have to know X-Men is not going to be just like one franchise by itself. It could basically take over the whole thing, so we better launch a bunch of little things now, or it's just not going to happen for like 10 years after that. So that's how I've always viewed this phase. I think if they were honest with themselves, they would do that too. They would admit that in these sort of things, because I don't think it's like over. I think it's just like we're waiting until X-Men happen, because X-Men still has a lot of cultural cachet, and because X-Men's been able to sort of rest, and people, there's like a desire for a good new X-Men movie. I think that sort of works for them. But anyway, let's get to Sinram. Thank you, Sinram, for your generosity for the $10 super chat. Said, back in 2018, I calculated that if Marvel released 3 movies every year, they would have 137 movies to their name by their 50th anniversary. Obviously, that's less likely now. I hope they don't actually do that. First off, cheers to you. That's interesting calculations, by the way. I mean, they also still are a licensing company, interestingly enough. And I think the thing, I don't know. I do think, I wish they would go back to 2, and I do think there's a thing with franchises. Like, I think what helped Star Wars more than anything is not having a movie out from 1983 to 1999. I think that did so much good grace for that, because it made those first 3 films feel special, which has been able to let those 3 films become bigger. I mean, there's still, at least the first 2 Star Warses are so highly influential, it's ridiculous. But I think that space drew, like, let the audience breathe, but also build up love for it. Hello, Son Solaris, as well. How are you doing? Nathaniel Fogg with another super chat said, it's time for the video game movie boom. I have to say, you're actually pretty right about that, Nathaniel Fogg, because, first off, cheers to you, sir. Between Five Nights at Freddy's and the universality of the Super Mario Brothers movie, like, my sister's gonna visit, and we were talking about like doing movie night, and I said Super Mario, and everyone was like, oh yeah, like everybody loves Super Mario. Like, it's just like a universal hit movie. Same with like the certain age group. It's like, oh, Five Nights at Freddy's, I love Five Nights at Freddy's. And like, to me, regardless of, like, I don't think either of those movies are like great movies, but like, I can't sit here and tell you, I should stop saying I can't sit here, this is gonna be a cliche. Drink when you hear me say that, I guess. Act like there's not a huge connection with the audience, and I totally feel like we will be seeing more of that going forward. I do, because studios are probably looking at those two, and I know like Universal's trying to figure out things with Nintendo, which seems to be a tricky relationship at best. But anyway, let's get into this. There's a lot of stories in this, so I hope I get all of them. I'll talk about the Jonathan Majors, since he is on the thumbnail. I guess I should talk about first. Apparently, they were thinking about recasting him, not because of the legal stuff, but because before the legal stuff happened, Quantumania bombed, and they were, or it didn't bomb. I mean, let's be clear, it like made money, but it's like just made its budget sort of thing. They were like, there was such a muted response, they were not sure about him, and they're thinking of recasting him. And the rumor is they're considering bringing in Doctor Doom, but I don't really want there to be a Doctor Doom where they rush that character, because he's so important to Marvel and everything like that, and he's a great character, and it sucks that he hasn't been in the MCU yet, and I want them to do him right, so I actually hope they don't. But previously on X-Men, dun dun, or dun dun dun, is it dun dun? Previously on X-Men, it's like thing. Anyway, cheers to you, Austin. Thank you for that. I've been actually, my review of X-Men Anime Series Season 1 is coming sooner rather than later. Cheers to you. I have been working on it. But they have been talking about doing something with him, possibly recasting him, possibly doing Doctor Doom. I actually have an idea. I don't know if someone thought about this, on what to do with Jonathan Majors. Obviously, I think because the court case is going forward, and because Kang is not really hitting with the audience, and like even him on Loki isn't really breaking out, and it does sort of stink that the Avengers and like the big villain has to be this huge person that's an immediate huge hit, sort of lets Marvel be less creative. And I think some of these weirder villains and stuff like that, like Ultron, that's an Avengers villain and stuff like that. And I wish some of the weirder just characters who are big in the Avengers, the actual Avengers comic, I wish could do more. But if it's not hitting, but I actually think, and here's my amazing idea here, is recast Kang with Terrence Howard. Like, just like, hear me out on this. Would that not be the most hilarious shit ever? Like, it's just Terrence Howard. Like, Terrence Howard comes back, You could even say like, "Oh, I was Rhodey once" or something if you want to do that. But just have Terrence Howard come back as Kang. Come on, it's like the one dumb thing you haven't done. Everyone's like, we should bring back Terrence Howard in a multiverse thing. Don't do that. Fuck that. Just have Terrence Howard be Kang. I'm telling you, people would love it. Terrence Howard, I think he's done some cringy shit, but there's probably something he's probably canceled for. I feel like maybe, but like seriously, like I would. I mean, Hustle and Flow is amazing, but I would love it. Let's just get Terrence Howard in here. Let's just like look, Terrence Howard maybe not the greatest. Has he been accused of strangling a woman? No. So like think of it that way. Like that's the one part of that whole Jonathan Majors thing is like I understand like she's got weird charges and they have charges arguing and like there's this whole thing and it's like I think he most likely did it, but there's like definitely like a little bit of doubt there. But I do find a lot of people have said like, look, there's like some charges that like a cop can put this on you and it can blow out of proportion, but strangulation is not one of them. Like that's not one where you're like the cops just like throw that in for shits and giggles. It's like a real like remember that with the Jonathan Majors thing. It's not like oh they had an argument and like he accidentally and stuff. It's not that. It's like when you have like strangulation marks, that's when the cops don't pull that shit. With like almost every domestic violence person I read on Twitter or even heard in real life and stuff is all like, yeah, that's like it's kind of bad. It's like just I know people want it to not be true, and I do think he's a good actor, but it's just like strangulation. I don't. Anyway. Sorry. But I mean, anyway, whatever. I think he most likely did it. I get that there's like they're trying to act like there's doubt between these things, but there's like, it's like most likely he did it. But, I would say let's do Terrence Howard. Someone said Shaq. You know what? I would be fine with Shaq as Kang. Shaquille O'Neal. Let's do that too. No. But I think I actually like my Terrence Howard. I think that would be cool. And I bet you he would eat scenery more. I think he would actually do an even better job as Kang than Jonathan Majors. That's what I'm saying. Anyway. So that was part of it, obviously. The other part was about the Marvels. There's obviously been a lot of... I think if any woman in the entertainment community complains about everything... or anything, sorry, they don't complain about everything, that's not what I meant. Complain about anything, people go like, what the, like get so upset and so angry, even if it's like why Brie Larson was canceled, which was like, I think there should be more than just white dude journalists, and all the white dude journalists were like, we actually agree with you, and we will actually start course correcting because you made this statement. And then all the guys who were not involved in what she was talking about were like, we're so offended, she hates white guys. I'm like, okay, that's not even have to do with you, and the people that had to do it didn't get upset. I don't understand. Anyway, regardless of Brie Larson, the thing with I will get to Blade also, but the thing with Nia DaCosta is apparently she had left the production in Marvels in post and was working on her film Hedda with Tessa Thompson was the report. Apparently though, that is actually not true. In a Collider story that's just so bloated with text, I barely could see my answer in there. That there's a Marvel didn't leave, and then they summarized the entire production history of fucking the Marvels. Kevin James is Kang. Okay, but Keith David is seriously the answer. Anyway, Wesley Snipes. Oh God, I like Keith David as Kang. I can't really fight that one, but so apparently that she left the production to work on another project, all that stuff. So apparently Collider reported that she actually didn't. But I like what, I know I've talked about Jeff Snyder, and, he can be cringy in certain ways, but he actually said an interesting thing about this, where he said, how you reacted to the Nia DaCosta leaving Marvel story says more about you than it ever said about her. There's so many people, because I brought up, I think in Johnny Tuccello's, I responded to a tweet, and I said, like, Spielberg famously leaves post-production, like on Jurassic Park. George Lucas did the post-production of Jurassic Park. He went off and made Schindler's List. He didn't finish the post-production of Jurassic Park, like one of his biggest movies. As well as like with Tintin, he like directed the actors and was like, all right, peace. I'm gonna like make Warhorse, Peter Jackson. You just like do the rest of this. I don't fucking know. And and he's done that a bunch of times. And a lot of directors do, or work on other projects while they're in post, which to me, that's what this was like, well, she's probably like in Zoom calls or like got permission or like that was naturally what I thought. But a lot of people have been like, oh, she doesn't give a shit. Blah, blah. But that's not like, yeah, anyway, I think basically that, when they, if you reacted like, this is horrible, how could you do this? Like that's just like you have some weird issues with it, and I agree with that. But apparently she didn't. But if she did, by the way, like so many people in Hollywood have so many different projects at various different stages, and oftentimes, like if you're working on this is a $200 million film, $250 million film, if you're able to leave that, you most likely got permission from the studio. Like you didn't just like leave. You didn't just like bounce, and most likely like they worked that out before post-production even started. So it's like, I don't know. Or she like said, I'm going to spend a weekend in London working on this. I'll be back on Tuesday. And that way we can have the meeting about this or something. Like there's so many like reasonable ways to do this. And I don't understand. Like, I think it was just like woman did a thing, me mad, but like, it's not, yeah, I got ads for Tubi, fucking Tommy Tubi at it again. As well as the other thing was bringing back the old Avengers. Apparently they've considered bringing back Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson. Most people think that's going to happen in Secret Wars anyway, or having the classic Avengers team do a movie together. I wouldn't mind if that happened much later. I think it's too soon, and I think Downey, if he's even going to consider that, is not going to do it because I think he wants his kind of Oscar nom and at least maybe a win for Oppenheimer. It seems like he's really pushing for that. So I think I don't think that's gonna. I thought that was kind of a lame thing, and then everything with Blade. The thing with Blade is there's been so much going on with it. I know supposedly they said in this article there was a draft of the Blade script where he was like the fourth lead behind a bunch of women who, of course, the internet's gonna hate this because women are involved in stuff. Was like the fourth lead, and these women would talk about morals and stuff. One of the people who wrote a screenplay for Blade before the pandemic, or at the beginning of the pandemic, actually put what is that? That's an interesting little thing there. Actually said like he'd never heard of that, and I saw another screenwriter mention like they had never heard of this like mythical draft. And so I think some of these were like seemed odd, but apparently like executives been fired who worked on Blade, and like there were drafts that got further along than they should have, and supposedly like one of the executives got yelled at by Kevin Feige, which is really a unusual thing at that studio. So it sounds like Blade's a mess, but now they have one of the writers of Logan on it, but it's like a writer some people have a lot of faith in, some don't. But it sounds like Blade is going to happen, but when Blade happens, it's like a whole other, what the, I don't know. But it was Mahershala Ali used his Oscar clout. By the way, his Oscar clout from Green Book, which I think is kind of funny. But yeah, the thing with Marvel right now is they're in an awkward stage. This was going to be an awkward stage. I think it's just like, when does X-Men start? I do agree, sure, they should have had an Avengers film that's like sort of an Age of Ultron. Because the problem with the Avengers, the franchise became more of an event thing than like what the actual Avengers comic was. And a few people have mentioned like, why couldn't we have had an Avengers film between Infinity War, Endgame, and then when you get Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, we could have had like a different little, like a smaller one. But I think maybe that was the plan, and like when Chadwick died, they course corrected. And I do think part of this is like the TV shows diluted the brand. Chadwick Boseman dying, I think the public has a mixed reaction to Black Panther. Generally, I've heard more people talk favorably about it as time has gone on, but it's like, even though I'm like it more than most people, it's an awkward movie. It's weird. It's definitely not Ryan Coogler's greatest. I do think there's some great performances in there. There's a lot of great craft. Like, I think he did the best he could with that, like, to a pretty extreme degree. But I don't think it's like, I think the public felt weird about it. Like, just didn't. If Chadwick had lived and stuff, I think there'd be a different reaction. I think they'd be in better shape. But at the same time, like, as many shows as there are, I think the problem with it was they overloaded with shows, and now with Loki, like, I like Loki, but at the same time, like, I'd much rather watch Scavenger's Reign or another show or a different movie, because, like, they sort of overloaded it. Like, I didn't watch Moon Knight, I didn't watch, Secret Invasion, and I think they, like, overdid it and diluted the brand. So I think right now they just need to get past this era, and then they'll be back up again at a certain point. I do not think it's over. I think it's just, like, not in a good place right now. The only other thing I find odd is people keep going like, well, Spider-Man better be in Secret Wars because, he's a big part of it. To be clear, like, I was a kid who obsessed over Secret Wars because I was, like, in elementary school, and I used to love, like, because I don't know if a trade was in print then, or, like, I forget why, but I had to get each of the issues from, like, I got them in the cheap bins at comic book conventions. This is like, conventions were so different in the 90s, but I would go through them, and I eventually got all of them. Like, it was like one of my big collecting things. It was like, I forget how many there are now, but as a kid it was like this epic thing. But the Spider-Man gets the black suit from Secret Wars, but Spider-Man, that's like the only big thing. So anyway, I would actually like to see that. But I like Loki season 2. I might do a review of it because I think there's certain things that, like, I think a sci-fi nerd or something like that likes. Yeah, but, like, I think the normies, like, there's certain times I'm watching, like, when that woman was like, "Oh, these strands are people," and I was like, I get the concept of that, but, like, if this was a comic, you would have panels around her showing different versions of shit. And, like, that's the one thing about that show that I've started to figure out. It's more sci-fi show than comic book show. And, like, that was a sense where, like, had it been a comic, that would have been an epic panel with all this shit around it, and it just didn't work because of that. Anyway, so we're gonna do the Echo thing, and then no more Marvel stuff. Sorry. It was a pretty big article. I think it's more of a summary, and just she got things clarified and stuff. I also don't think the Marvels, like, everyone's like, well, it's not going to open well. I'm like, yeah, but nothing else, like, unless Hunger Games is a big hit, or Wish, which people, anytime I bring up around people, they're iffy on. I think Marvels will actually do well in the rest of the holiday season. Like, to me, it's like more of a long run than just a short, because people are like, if you're unsure of Hunger Games, and Wish is, like, probably for the kiddies for a lot of people, I think the Marvels, since it doesn't have Dune 2, will do pretty decently. But anyway, so Echo, the trailer for Echo came out. It's coming out January 10th. All episodes, I think there's 5 episodes all at once. Interesting that on the ad it says either on Hulu or on Disney Plus, set your profile to TVMA to watch it, which is, I've never seen a streaming show do something like that. Disney does have requirements. I had to set my kids one. It's weird. I think it has, like, TVMA is above R, and I was like, what would be the thing that doesn't make just their distinctions were like TV4 to PG-13 and then TV-14, and I'm like, what is the thing that is, like, worse? I don't know. That I found bizarre. But it was a good trailer, but my main issue with the trailer was it was a great trailer for the Kingpin. It was not a great trailer for Echo. And, like, I already know Vincent D'Onofrio is a great actor. Like, you could have never shown him and shown his foot, and I'm like, oh man, look at him fucking walking. What a great guy to walk. He's so good at it and stuff. I would have totally believed that, and they would have said it's a stand-in, and I would have been like, yeah, well, it's good at picking stand-ins, I guess. But it wasn't. Yeah, Echo wasn't in as much. There were certain things with her that looked cool, but, like, I think trailers we should talk about, and we'll talk about this later with the Fall Guy. It's like, if you have real personality in a trailer and you give it, like, sort of cause and a relationship, that hits with an audience. And I got his relationship with Echo, and in a sense that trailer works, but in another sense it's a show called Echo and it was about the Kingpin, and that seems to be, like, maybe not what you should be advertising. Maybe it's more about Kingpin or not, but I don't know. The other thing is it's part of Marvel Spotlight series, which are Marvel shows that are not part of the continuity. Why they've started this now, I don't know, and wasn't started earlier. I was thinking with the shows with this article, had they done a thing where it was like the shows are its own thing, they barely connect to the movies, very little, it's very little that they do basically. If they'd done that and it had been like the DC thing, I bet. Was that a kid? I don't think so. I bet you that it would have worked. But because it's like connected, although Monica Rambeau is like in Captain Marvel, anyway, people dissecting that stupid clip, I was like, that's part of the original movie. And I also think part of the problem with Marvels is it's not really a sequel to Captain Marvel, as well as Captain Marvel did not. Even the people who were okay with Brie Larson didn't love it that much. So it's just like a whole fucking mess. It's like whatever. Anyway, um, I think that is a kid crying. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm sorry to do this. I'm gonna go take care of a kid real quick. Then we'll talk about SAG stuff. We'll just a pause. We might have to go even later, but I will be right back. I want to make sure somebody's okay. I'll be right back. Apologies. I'm just gonna mute, but we'll be right back after this. Okay, we're okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Um, he's good. It was just a kid. Yeah, just need to make sure the little guy's okay. All right, let's back to one of kids in distress. You got to do something. Hope everyone hears me okay. I hope the levels are okay. Do we sound okay? I wonder. Okay, we do. Okay. My wife's helping out with him now, but I wanted to run in there and make sure everything's all right. Anyway, he just has a little cough. He's okay. I'm okay. Just switching up. Let's gotta get back in it. Okay. Hell's a poppin'. You made a good choice. That's a fucking great show. All right. So SAG, unless that was solved since I last checked. Here's what's going on with SAG. We're not going to dwell on this too much, but it sounds like hopefully this will be dealt with shortly. So the first thing I had on this was the anticipation is that first we kept hearing that the contract for their 3-year deal would be figured out in 48 hours or so, but what we last heard from them is SAG-AFTRA had received and are now reviewing a last, best, and final offer from the studios if it doesn't fulfill all of the needs for actors to continue a sustainable livelihood. Sorry, that's not a joke at all. SAG won't accept it and will be 100% on the studios to make a better offer, or that's at least what they're saying right now. I'm hoping. The problem with this SAG thing is I'm not 100% in love with the leadership, and it sounds like Hollywood is not either. But at the same time, the AMPTP is not handling the leadership very well either. So it's sort of like this whole industry is between two sides that are duly frustrating, basically. There isn't a side that is sort of being level-headed in my mind from what I've read. Both are kind of being equally as frustrating, like bringing up things, trying to push AI, trying to push for money that I'm sure would be nice, but is too precedent setting and isn't what they're really fighting. It's just it gets into so many of these weird fucking shit that you're just sitting there oh my god, guys, Jesus. It's just, I don't know. I think when there's a real article going through this whole thing, no one will look good. I seriously doubt that will come from it, but I'm hoping this is done because I don't think either of them are really good at doing this. But I do actually blame the AMPTP more. I think my bigger issue with them is if you're titans of industry, you should be able to negotiate and get your industry in a better shape, and you're refusing to do that. And it's fuck you guys. You can't be the titans of industry. You can't. This should have been settled within a week. The fact that it's gone on this long, it's also the AI crap is real dumb because people are well, AI is just gonna get better. I'm okay, but it seems like everyone's with all tech stuff, it's well, the possibility is. I'm okay, but I think if that's the possibility, that's fine, but you have to make money on it. And it's Dr. Doolittle looked like a possibility back in the 60s, and that didn't work out. So actually make money on it. Anyway, good night, Sinram. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the last Saturday show. He said, fortunately, I must check out early. Good night. Good night to you, Sinram, and thank you very much. I will read your chat question later, and have a good night, or get home safe, or whatever's going on with you. I hope the rest of your night is good. Cheers to you. As I said before, I've seen this question come up in the chat. If negotiations don't happen, it will be very bad. An entire season of TV will be lost. More movies will be delayed. We know for sure by some pretty, some of the bigger reporters have said that the bigger, there is a article of failure of leadership. I forget the exact term, but a failure of leadership for, oh cool, I would do that. Sorry. Failure of leadership for the SAG leadership, and try to get them out of there, basically. So it's in SAG's best interest for this not to go on any longer, or at least the leadership who's negotiating this. It's, the AMPTP will like just ruin a whole industry. It's like things will get so bad for all of them after this. I do not understand why you'd want to push this any further. It's ridiculous. But anyway, Mike Silva, I watch MST3K on Pluto all the time. Sometimes like just 15 minutes of a random one. Master Ninja. Fuck. Sometimes just 15 minutes of one while I'm doing something really makes the day go by faster. All right. But speaking of movies that got delayed, we only have really big one that also SAG said don't believe any rumors or reporting that isn't from them, but I think they don't want that because there hasn't been those things have not been favorable to them, so I think that's probably why. Anyway, we also learned that the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake has moved from March 14th, 2025 to June 13th, 2025. I would prefer it was moved off the calendar entirely and never made, but it has been moved back. I expect and this is affecting 2025 movies, and also Deadpool 3 is still, hello Gary, Deadpool 3 is still doesn't have a date. It just doesn't have a date right now. No one knows when Deadpool 3 is coming out. It's just like a thing that they're working on. At some point we'll get a date. Presently we do not have one, and that's a big movie with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds and like all this stuff, and people are just like, what? Gary might have come for the last Saturday show to hopefully he can get his Dark City DVD back, but I'm here to tell you, if he has a Dark City DVD, I will come and get it no matter what, even though I've never been to LA. I have not actually seen every episode. The problem with that show is the episodes are like really long, and like if I live long enough, I would love to see every episode. Actually, I've thought about trying to do that, and I know people who are like, well, I torrented every episode, but they haven't actually watched them. But I've watched I think when I counted, I think I watched half before the new ones, but I've watched all of Netflix. I haven't all my reviews of. I need to review the one Netflix season more of those, and I've reviewed all of Gizmoplex. So I think I'm maybe 60. I don't know how many percentages. I should probably count, but like there's some I've just like seen. There's a lot of one I've seen. I should review more of the old ones in the movie at some point. But also, this is sort of a random fact I found out. I forgot that the Snow White remake is written by Greta Gerwig and directed by Mark Webb, the one with Rachel Zegler. I just didn't know that. I was just throwing that out there. I was like, wow, really? All right, so the Disney bought Hulu, basically, or a percentage of Hulu. So basically, what the deal is with this is, for a long time, Disney knew they were going to buy out, because Hulu was set up with Fox, Disney, and Universal as sort of like this big streamer that was going to counter Netflix and be like sort of like the industry's streaming service, and it sort of didn't work out that way. And then Disney bought Fox, so then they owned a majority of Hulu, and they kept saying they're going to buy the other stake that Universal had in Hulu, and they were debating on the price of it, and they'd been debating on the price of this Mike Silla has seen them all. Well, congratulations, man, that's awesome. But Hulu, but with Hulu, they'd been debating with Universal what the accurate price should be, what they should do. Some people were saying they were going to just sell Hulu. There are other people who said there are too many rights of like hit shows involved with Hulu that like selling it wouldn't be a viable option. What they're going to do with Hulu going forward is going to be, see ya, Mike Silva, will be interesting, because I'm curious. It seems like they still want it to be a separate entity in the few countries it's in. Everywhere else, it's a majority of places it's Disney Star, not Hulu. But it seems like they like Hulu being around. I'm wondering if at some point they'll fold it into Disney Plus, and it'll just be the Hulu tier, and you either pay for it or you have it agreed to or something like that. I'm not sure. But this is sort of a big story, because you're like, okay, it's now fully Disney. but it's also not a big story because it's a thing they've been talking about for a long time. And it's, they came up with a price because there were talks of it being like 30 billion or something like that. But we'll see. But I think, Goosebumps, I think, is a Disney show. They're kind of trying to build up Hulu more, which is, I'm assuming, because they just spent $8 billion on it. And I've read that was kind of part of it, is having shows on both to sort of like get people to go, oh, this is also on Hulu, or kind of try out and share shows and stuff like that. But I think it's also, I don't know. I'm curious. I think at some point I wouldn't be surprised if Hulu is done like Disney Star and it's just a part of it. But I think in America it sort of works out, and maybe consumers like it more. They've probably done a lot of testing about it. So that happened. It's sort of just another big Disney thing that Iger probably wanted to sew up, and it's a good headline rather than still refuses to figure out the strike and fuck up everything with SAG, which they continue to do. Someone says they're worried about this. I would say there are a bunch of projects that will get canceled. Sunslorets brings up the Jordan Voight Roberts Metal Gear Solid film. I would expect not just that one, but a ton of stuff to fall apart. So, anyway, I'm trying to be optimistic, but I'm going to talk about a few trailers, and then we'll kind of talk about some preschool stuff, I guess, with Sesame Street and the Children and Families Emmys, which is a weird thing. Anyway. The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes trailer came out. This is directed by Wes Ball, who's most known for the Maze Runner films. I liked his direction, and I think he probably, out of the kind of YA wave post Hunger Games, I actually think, although they're all sort of ridiculous, I think his were sort of the best ones because there was always momentum. Like, it's like they're always sort of running. And even in the second Maze Runner, I was like, I'm not bored. I don't have to sit there and find someone fully go through the stupid rules of this world too much. Like, there's always momentum, and like they're always trying to move to the next scene, and like they're way better directed than I think. I think they're maybe not better than some of the Hunger Games, but at least a lot more enjoyable. And I'm not surprised they found something else for Wes Ball to do, because I've heard other people, on film critics and stuff, talk about how promising he looked from those films. I didn't see the third Maze Runner, and I kind of want to, but I like the first two a lot more than I thought I would. Or at least the movies. I didn't read the books, but this looks cool. It's about like Caesar's son and like what's going on there and stuff. I also I like the Planet of the Apes franchise in general. I will probably review of the original series, like the fourth one, along the release of this, or I would like to. We'll see, knowing my life and stuff. But I do think it is an interesting franchise. It can be very political, very interesting, very smart. And it's cool that Disney left Planet of the Apes alone and let Planet of the Apes be what it should be. Like, they didn't fuck up the franchise or make it reboot. They let it continue, and I think that's really cool. And it looks like a great movie. I am kind of curious to see how Planet of the Apes became, what it became, and how it evolved, and all these things. I think is going to be really interesting. I'll probably need to rewatch the original three, because it's been was War of the Planet of the Apes was like pre-pandemic, right? I mean, that was like a long time ago. So I haven't really thought about that. I remember I liked Dawn a lot, and maybe I should actually review Rise also. So I think that would be cool. Oh, TuneJ723 is here. Hello. There are also the Godzilla -1 trailer. I am very hyped for this movie. I'm a little curious, like, is it just like a remake of the original? And like how, I don't know. I'm curious like what the deal with this fully, but it looks cool at least. I'm not, I think Gojira, or the original Japanese cut of Godzilla, is like one of the greatest, deserves to be on the greatest films of all time list. I think it's a really impactful, wonderful film. So I'm a little like apprehensive about going back into that territory, because it at least seems like it is going back on that. I didn't look up like what the deal with that is, but I still thought it was like pretty amazing, pretty wonderful, like one of the better looking Godzilla trailers I've seen since Shin Godzilla. This is a weird era, Godzilla era, by the way, because we're like all bumping around different projects and stuff like that, but I am very down for this. It looks like just even if it is sort of like going into that material and all that, it still looks like a pretty substantial Godzilla movie, and I wouldn't mind just like a good version of that. But I sort of also would like just sorry we're getting a lot of ads. I apologize for that. And then the the Bird and the Heron voice cast. I guess we heard. I think we talked about it last time, but we heard Robert Pattinson as the Heron and did this weird voice. And like, I actually had someone get mad at me, like, "Well, Robert Pattinson always does weird voices, and he always does a different voice each role." And I'm like, okay, my sort of point when I tweeted it and stuff was more that is that I think it was cool that most celebrities when they get cast and stuff don't do weird voices, and that he actually did. I think is cool. I am curious, like, because I know Miyazaki sometimes prefers a different language's dub over the Japanese dub. Like Porco Rosso, he likes the French dub more. And I've heard other ones, and I forget what the other ones were. Like, I think in Totoro, I might have liked the Italian one or something. I might be wrong about that. But I remember him specifically. I remember Porco Rosso, he likes the French one more because John Renault's Porco Rosso he thought was the best version. I believe. I might be flubbing this up a bit. I think Princess Mononoke liked a different languages dub. But anyway, I'm curious. I usually try to see these in Japanese the first time, so I never. I think I don't know. The voice cast sort of doesn't mean as much to me in that regard, because if I don't have to see them the first time, I most likely won't, and then I'm not sure if I can take my daughter to it or not. That's the question I've kind of been wondering. But I'm definitely going to see it a couple times because I love Ghibli and I love Miyazaki, and it will be cool to see him again. You know what? Their Totoro dub is not bad, Gary. I'm not going to lie to you. It was pretty good. It's the first one I saw, I think. All right, so Sesame Street. You wouldn't think I'd be talking about Sesame Street other than singing its praises, because that's usually what I do. I think it's one of the greatest television shows ever made, and I don't take that lightly, actually. I think it really is. It's taught so many kids so many different great things, and I know people say, "Oh, it was made for this demo, it was made for that demo." To me, it's like a show. It's a show for everyone. I don't mean to be like, I don't see color or something like that. It's a show for everyone, and I love what it does. I love that it teaches kids sharing and reading, and it's insanely progressive and all those things. But we're not complaining that Sesame Street is woke. Sesame Street has been woke before anybody for a very long time. But so Sesame Street for a long time has been this magazine style format. And they've decided to drop that. Basically, magazine style is like usually what they have a big segment at the beginning. They have a lot of little like things, like the theme of the show will be like families or dancing or whatever, and they have some different kind of animation things. They have different live action shorts. They have Big Bird goes around the country, stuff like that. And then they have Elmo's World at the end and stuff. But apparently it seems like they're getting rid of Elmo's World, which I was like, ballsy, guys, because it's pretty much like Elmo's like the Wolverine of the Sesame Street's X-Men, so I don't know if I'd be doing that one. But apparently it's going to have 2 narrative driven segments, which will be paired with a new animated series called Tales from 123. So basically like 2 11-minute story segments with the animated Tales from 123 in between them. I have sort of reservations about this because I think it's like this is run for so long, specifically in the magazine style, and worked so well for so many people that it's like, why change it at this point? I'm a little lost on the rationale. Like, why not make this a spin-off or something like that? And people are blaming Max, but this seems to be like something that like Sesame Workshop wanted to do. And I know as people have left the show and retired and died, maybe this is like management, lower, people who are now becoming managers or getting more power have decided like they would have always wanted to do this or something like that. But I do think, I don't know, I'm very apprehensive about this. I do sort of trust that show quite a bit because it's very good, and I think it's done a lot of good, and I think it deserves for us to at least give it a chance. I will actually maybe do a review or something about the first couple episodes and how well it works and stuff. If maybe that sounds silly or something like that, but it is a show I love to show my kids, and a show that like even when I'm working on my cartoon, I think of like how they explain things and stuff. So I am a little apprehensive. I also like don't love that we're just not doing the magazine style. I know like, I mean literally the most popular uh, show still is 60 Minutes, which is a magazine style show. But I mean, like, I'm a big Unsolved Mysteries fan, and I still prefer the pre Netflix one, which was a magazine show style. And what I liked about that style is like you basically tune in for like this segment and that segment, and you get like loved ones reunited, or you get like an update, you get all these other things, and it's sort of like pepper those things. You get like a story you didn't expect and get into, and I think now that everything's so on demand and so a la carte and stuff, people are not really into that anymore. But I sort of like those formats. I think the only ones are like 60 Minutes, like Inside Edition, Access Hollywood, stuff like that, and even those are like veering away from it. So that might just be a something that we're not going to be doing anymore. So that kind of stinks because I like that format. But I wish Sesame Street the best. I'm very apprehensive about it. I hope kids like it. But there's so much Sesame Street out there that if they don't, they can just watch the older stuff if they want to. But I hope it's not like horrible. It's also like I like Cookie Monster and Gonger. Damn it! Does that mean no more Cookie Monster and Gonger? That sucks if that's true, man. That is like one of my favorite segments. That pisses me off now. Never mind. Never mind. I'm taking it all back. Fuck it. But I don't know. We'll see. Also, there's this thing called the Children and Family Emmy Awards. So I don't understand some about this, which I'll get to. But the one that got the most nominations with 8, was Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, although Lost Ollie got the most nominations in total. Well, I guess this is the animated show with the most. But so there's a lot of shows in here. Like I'm fine with like preschool series. We have Sesame Street, Waffles and Mochi, which is a great show. Blue's Clues and You, which people seem to love. Animated series for preschool. Paddington, Storybots is great. Young Jedi Adventures, which I don't know anyone who watches with their kids. But like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, legitimately great show. Zootopia Plus, which my kids actually really liked for a little bit and forgot about. I like that Looney Tunes got in there for animated special. Rise of the TMNT, the movie got in there as well. But here's the thing: we're going through this whole thing, and we're talking about preschool shows presently, like in the present, right now, at the time we're in right now, and we're talking about children's shows, preschool shows. And I was going through these lists, and I was like, where's Bluey though? It's like, how are you doing it this year and like Bluey's not in it? Like that just, I don't know. To me it's like that's not the era you're in. Like it's like Bluey's. I'm not saying just because Bluey's so popular. Like I'm happy for Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur because that's a great, legitimately great show, and the shows I've seen that I like, I think that's cool. But like, how can you do this without? Like, is there a reason? Like, I didn't see a reason Bluey isn't nominated. To me, it's like, how do you do family entertainment and not have Bluey in 2023? That's just like doesn't make any sense. Like, to me, it's like this is like kind of fraudulent without that. To be honest, like I know that might sound extreme, but it's like that is the big show. Like everybody watches that show, and it's like to just ignore it entirely seems to be not a. If it's America only, it's still like getting released. Like I just don't understand. Like it just doesn't. I don't know. If that's the case, they're coming up with weird things. They didn't do this right in my mind. It's not a capsule of what's going on right now. Like that's just utterly ridiculous. I think I know you probably didn't want my hot take on that, but like I did earnestly look through it, and I was like, well, where is it? I don't know. It just seems thought. Okay. Well, I think, weren't there some in here, Ryan? Sorry, this is going to become Jim and Ryan debating this. I feel like there's got to be something in here that this can't be all American. Like, I feel like there's definitely, although I guess there isn't. but okay, here's my thing with that is like kids shows are more international than ever, so that doesn't really work. Anyway, Danbox64 said, did a nice super chat for $5. Thank you very much. Said, do you believe that we might see a gradual change of what comes out from Hollywood than before after the deal is done and set? Yes, I do actually. First off, cheers to you, Danbox64. One thing, and this is not speculation, this is what we know. The streaming stuff that we saw, and this has been reported out the wazoo, and to the point where like no one's talking about it anymore because they're sick of talking about it, where the streaming era pretty much ended. This isn't a joke, sorry. It ended with the strike, and the economics they're coming back to are not the economics before. So what they're fighting for essentially is there'll be less jobs, but those jobs will get better pay. That is, we know that's going to happen. So what we'll see from that will be interesting. I know people keep blaming like particularly like diversity, and I'm hoping there's not like a clapback on that, to be honest. I think, there's bad examples of people trying to use feminism and diversity in Hollywood, like the Exorcist thing and even Transformers Rise of the Beast, where it's like sort of embarrassing and they should have cut that out. But I don't think that means you shouldn't do it at all. And I think what is going to happen is you're going to see less projects, and because of less projects you'll probably see it get sanitized a lot more. And I'm hoping, since there's been so much talk of less diversity, I'm hoping that isn't true. But oh yeah, that's true, Ryan. Thank you for, sorry, I'll go back to, it's going all over the place, but I'm hoping that there isn't the case of less of that, although I've heard rumors of that. But I do think we're going to see less productions and less movies. And I do think if there is a small movie that could come out in 2024 or 2025 and really dominate, I think now is the time, because so many things have moved. But I do think we'll see a big shift in the amount of things. And I think we'll see probably more indie stuff rise up because the opportunity's there. Whether what happens, what it is, I don't know. But yeah, okay, so Ryan's bringing up that Paddington was nominated, and that's British. So just like, why was Bluey not? It's just such a big show. I just don't get. Anyway, I'm not super into like I care about the Oscars, but all the other, there's so many different award shows. I really am not super into it. But it's just like looking at that nomination list. Just yeah, what is it saying? Ideally, everyone would be able to have an equal stage, but like America is the last place that needs an exclusive program. Yeah, that's. Thank you, Cornbread. I agree with that. But yeah. Anyway, but it just seems weird to me. That's all. But I don't know. We'll see what happens after. I mean, we don't really know until it actually happens, and I think that's that speculation, I think, is true. I don't have much to say about it because I mean I agree that this should happen. I'm not against it. I just don't have super ton of information. But I know Disney animators have voted to unionize, which would be a big deal because one of the reasons a lot of people have said, and I hadn't really heard this till recently, that 2D animation went out for 3D is the 2D animators were unionizing, the 3D animators were not, and it sounds like everybody's just going to be unionizing now, which is great. I think they should be unionized. You see any production, documentary they've been releasing about how hard it is to make those things. I think they absolutely should. I think I support that, as well as Wild Brain has unionized in the animators union. It seems like that union is really getting big, and we're seeing more unionization of Hollywood. And I think like post the pandemic and seeing how long hours they worked, and when you get to have more time with your family or more time to yourself, I think people are prioritizing that, and they should prioritize that in general. I think that would be good. We should probably hurry up because even though we started late, we'll probably end late. We should get going though. So there's two stories I do have some things to say about. So Joe Biden apparently watched Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, not part one, I guess now, and said he is now more worried about, sorry, it's a little funny, is now more worried about AI more than ever. I mean, that is kind of the message of that movie, so I don't disagree. It does make you think about it a bit. Like it does. Like that's the whole point of the movie. But it is interesting that I remember Obama particularly would always get movies like the week they came out, and even like Trump, they would just like turn down, or he would, if they were a conservative producer, get it fairly quickly. But it's very bizarre. Like Joe Biden got a movie that's like on demand. Maybe that's like shows his age or something. I'm not trying to be ageist, but it's just funny that like he watched it just now. It's like I don't know. It's just not what I've heard of presidents. But regardless, it is interesting that that upset Joe Biden to a point. But I think so. I do think Dead Reckoning. It's a good movie. It's not the best Mission Impossible, but it's still a good movie, and it does actually sort of make you think about how threatening it could be, particularly that opening with the subs. So I don't know. I sort of get it. I think we should maybe give Dead Reckoning deserves a little bit of credit, despite it getting swallowed up by Barbenheimer. This came out earlier in the week, but that there is going to be, we don't know, we only know that there, so we found out, sorry, there's going to be an It Follows sequel called Them Follows, bringing Mika Monroe back and the director of the original back. My thing, oh, hey, Zane Powers, I didn't see you there before. My thing with this is I really like It Follows. I think when I made a top 10 list, it was pretty high up there, and it was a film I really, really love. Was nominated for best. The Emmy Awards are just whatever. It just, to me, it doesn't really capture. I don't know. Ryan Walderson says Bluey has been nominated once at the International Emmy Awards, Kids Awards with other shows from around the world, so that's why it wasn't in there. I still think it should be in there. But anyway, so apparently it is happening. It Follows sequel years later. Supposedly, part of the reason is because the Weinsteins actually own some rights to it. I know people keep bringing up Dogma with this story. The Weinsteins actually themselves own the rights to Dogma. All their other properties were owned by their production company. There's a difference between your company owning the rights to something and you as an individual owning rights to something. So that's a separate issue. I know everybody's mentioned that, but it is not the same thing. However, with It Follows, it seems like the rights were transferred to Radius, or transferred to some company. Now they're able to make a sequel, but I also think part of the thing with that is Mika Monroe and the director have not been doing super well, and I think this is sort of a Hail Mary pass. I know I don't mean to throw shade or anything, but I think it's like, they knew they could get the money to make this sequel, so they did it, and I'm like, okay, cool, but I would like a concept, basically. Like, I'm sort of right now like hesitant, but I would like to know the concept, because like to me it's like it's a one and done, like Carnival of Souls or something, and it's, unless there's this great sequel to Carnival of Souls I'm unaware of. Ryan googling Carnival of Souls sequel, that's how Ryan types, because he has a keyboard right at eye level or something. I'm hesitant on this, but I do think it's like both of them are like, it's like Hollywood thing's not working out for either of us. Why don't we, get a project we know that will get made working? And I guess that's fine, but I didn't see Under the Silver Lake. I would actually I've been wanting to see his other two movies. I'm hesitant, but I will wait for a trailer or a concept to like fully like get upset or something. But right now I'm like, just the idea of it, I'm like, I don't really, I'm not really into this, the idea of it. All right, we have two super chats here. Zane Power says, would the Golden Globes have treated Bluey better? I don't know if they would ever nominate a show like that, but the Golden Globes are weird, so maybe. So cheers to you, Zane Powers. Cheers to you. TuneJ723. Thank you, $5. That's very nice of you. Said, no, they don't make 2D films because executives like to make last minute changes, and that's easier to do with the CG than a 2D film. I think that is also true, but I bet you also the union thing. I feel like the meeting, I don't know, I've heard, from what I hear, it was sort of a one that there were several factors that might have been one of them, but Carnival of Souls was the director's only feature. I forgot about that. Damn, it's like that and Night of the Hunter. Some of my favorite of that era. Only anyway. Cheers to you, Toon Jay. I forget if I did doing this twice or not. Okay. I'll do some quick ones and then we'll do the HBO thing, which I haven't seen a lot of people talk about. The Joe Russo made a TikTok against Martin Scorsese. I do not get this superhero thing against Scorsese at this point, which I also learned it's actually pronounced Scorsese, not Scorsese. Scorsese, it's Scorsese, which I should pronounce it the right way. But then if I do, I sound pretentious, right? It's just, I don't know. But I think Joe Russo, it's just like these guys are so petty, and it's like I get that like some people malign the superhero stuff and get mad at the superhero stuff, but it's at the same point it's like just like why do we care? Like it's I don't love that Scorsese did that because I think it like immediately put this dividing line, which I'm like I kind of wish you hadn't said anything, to be perfectly honest. I don't expect him to like the stuff, but it just made such a line in the sand, and it's like it's just not fully worth it. But I'm also like, you guys need to let this go on the other. It's just like I don't understand why James Gunn or Scott Derrickson or all these directors get so upset. And I get like when you're taught film, and I'm sure those guys were too. You're taught his movies, and it's upsetting to find like this guy who probably meant a lot to each of them doesn't like their shit, but at the same time, like get over it. It's like, and also like the Russo brothers, like all of their stuff post Marvel has been horrible. Like it's like if of all of them, like they seem to have benefited from the Marvel Studios, pre-Viz team more than anyone. So it's like I find it so bizarre to me. It's just I don't know. I find it really pathetic that he's still doing this. It's like, and he's just it's also like the thing with Scorsese, whatever we're calling him, and those TikToks and stuff, is like he's at least having fun with them. Like the only time I hear about the Russos is like them saying shitty elitist things. Like Scorsese's thing is like, I'm making TikToks for my daughter, and which apparently, like, by the way, I don't think people realize this, but like his wife has like some pretty serious diseases, and apparently like one of the reasons he does TikTok is to like get her mind off of like a lot of like serious medical conditions in their house. So maybe like I don't know, there's like kind of a chiller reason for that, but whatever. I just think it's like, get over it. Like I don't understand, and it's just pathetic and petty at this point. Like that he's like, Scorsese's dog is named Oscar and his dog is named Box Office as a joke, but it's like, dude, the Gray Man was not going to do well had that come out. So I don't, whatever. Okay, moving on. The first Mystery Science Theater movie of season 14 that we know about is Battle from Beyond the Stars, which is sort of Corman took Magnificent Seven, or the Seven Samurai, sorry, and combined it with a sci-fi thing, much like how Lucas did Hidden Fortress, or the structure of Hidden Fortress. That's like a whole thing. But I thought I've never seen Battle Beyond the Stars. I actually would like to. So I might actually review it. I would like to actually review it separately from Mystery Science Theater, or at least see it. But yeah, that's kind of a big one. So I think that makes sense, and I think that'll be cool. Also, we found out Taylor Tomlinson, who's a comedian I actually quite like. She might not seem like someone I would like, but I actually think she's kind of funny. I don't know, got into her through TikTok. I watched all her specials and stuff. But she's doing the new After Midnight, the new rebooted one after Colbert. I sort of just wish she could do stand up and stuff, but I'm at least curious. And I liked At Midnight, but that was way before with Hardwick and stuff. So I don't know. So HBO had a kind of a weird controversy. One of their interns was suing for wrongful termination, and it came out through that when he sued for wrongful termination, one of the things was their boss was making the interns make fake Twitter accounts and tweet at TV critics and movie critics, mainly TV critics, I believe, to criticize them for giving their shows bad reviews One in particular was the Nevers, which I'm like 100% sure they were never going to give a second season to. So why they're defending the Nevers, I don't know. But and they would even make fake accounts on things like Deadline and the critics own the websites that hosted their reviews, like AV Club or the newspapers they worked for, and would criticize them and say, oh, they're dumb white men, or they're like virtue signaling, which is, I don't know how that is, like, that term is mutated from the conservative saying it to liberals, which is like, I hate that term so much. But yeah, it sounds like one of the pettier things that, like, an HBO executive who's like the big HBO executive, Casey Bloyles, who is an executive who is big enough that they can't fire for this, but it's like pretty petty and pathetic. He's apologized for it, said, I was really addicted to the Twitter post pandemic, and like I got ahead of myself, and he apologized for it. But I still think it's like pretty petty and pathetic to like be going against critics in this way. I think it is a major, I don't know, it definitely makes you think less of this executive for doing something like that. Like, why would you care that much about those sort of things? I think is utterly bizarre. But apparently they did. A major HBO executive did those things, and that is what he wanted to do. So I don't know, it seems to me like not, I don't know, it just seems pretty lame, to be honest with you. I was a little surprised, and people have now brought up, I mean, there was a thing recently with critics getting bought off and things like that, but this is like kind of one of those things where, like, now when you get negative, as a critic, when you get sort of some of these things, are you going to now think like, oh, is this like an executive producer who wants to, get back at me for giving a bad review of this? This is how they take care of it in the comments and stuff like that. So I just find it to be kind of lame, Okay, Ryan Walterson said, this is his theory, continuing on why Bluey's... No, I like how Ryan's like really on this. Okay, my theory as to why Paddington is nominated, because I believe Nickelodeon themselves own the American television distribution, whereas Bluey, despite airing on Disney platforms, is fully distributed by BBC. Okay, that is actually... Oh, goodbye, Catbot. Have a good night. That makes sense, because BBC actually posted like they made more money because of Bluey merch and stuff, so that makes sense. Okay, probably just gonna do a few things so we can get further on with this. I actually do have a Bluey story. Maybe I'll do this as a little trivia question here. So Bluey, we now know, is going to be in the Thanksgiving Day Parade, if you're going to watch that. It's basically like, that was the only balloon I saw majorly confirmed by everyone, was like Bluey, I don't know, I think it's because they know kids will be excited for Bluey. So I didn't see any of the other balloons, or didn't look at the list or something. Although we're going to watch the parade, I'm excited to. However, the producer, who's also the producer of Bluey, who helped write Talk to Me, if you didn't hear me talk about that, or see me tweet about it, or see my review, I did actually talk about how one of the producers of Bluey came up with the concept of the horror movie Talk to Me, which is bizarre, and is a character in Bluey also. But so Bluey is actually the second Australian cartoon to be in the Thanksgiving Day Parade, and Ryan Walterson does not get to answer this question because I feel like he'll figure it out. But I want to know if anyone else in the chat can guess what it is. I do know what it is, and I will say it is not a new cartoon. And I'm really but Ryan Walterson, don't say anything, because I know he'll know, because I know he'll figure it out. No one else. I want to see who gets it first. Just let me know. They have an NFT balloon. I know they had like, you can sign up and get a free NFT one day, but I want to see if anyone can get it. I'm just curious. All right, so let's talk about a few trailers, and then I think we'll just do the segment and just ride this out, I guess. Yeah. It's not the Wiggles. It was a long time ago, like before I was born, that this was a balloon. It might have come back a few times, but it is not the Wiggles. All right, so let's do trailers, various trailers. This will just be the trailer segment. I think the big trailer that surprised most people is the Fall Guy trailer. This is a movie version of a TV show I barely remember, but in it, it's starring Ryan Gosling and uh, Emily Blunt, and he plays a stuntman, she plays a director, and he's trying to win back her heart by like doing all these things and get the. I'm surprised no one's getting this. Is trying to get the leading man back and go through these various adventures. I think there is a Burt Reynolds movie called The Stuntman, I believe, which maybe I'll review around the time of this, which is actually a lot of fun. And this sort of reminds me of that, but it looks like a fun concept. We're getting kind of the Ryan Gosling post the Barbie movie, which I think looks like a lot of fun, a good starring role for him, but it just looks like a fun movie with, meta Hollywood sort of movie with stunts in it is always fun for me. But the Burt Reynolds, sorry, I think I said Burt Reynolds. The Burt Reynolds movie, The Stuntman, is pretty good. I think that one would do. Oh, Ryan Walterson doesn't know. Ooh. I'll say it after this trailer's thing. I want to see if anyone can get it. It isn't a new cartoon by any means. And remember, the parade's been around for long. That's the only other... Parade's been around for a long time, so... Burt Reynolds. Yeah, the Burt Reynolds Stuntman movie is really cool, but The Fall Guy looked like a great trailer, and it reminded me of that Burt Reynolds movie. The next one, there was a Good Burger 2 trailer. This is Good Burger, the follow-up to Good Burger, where... basically the Good Burger restaurant is taken over by robots and stuff, and I think Keenan has to go work at Good Burger again and stuff. One fun fact about me is I actually have not seen the original Good Burger movie because I was not super into all that because I was like a teenager and too pretentious for my own good, so maybe I should review that around the time Good Burger 2 comes out. But it looked fine. I think the robot thing is a bit much, but it sort of gave me Bogus Journey vibes. I did watch the skit Good Burger, but I don't know if people are as into Good Burger because it seems like the hype for this trailer was just not there because I didn't post it. Maybe people aren't super into Good Burger. So, anyway, Austin's like, what? Okay. What were the other trailers before I reveal what the other one is? And it's actually sort of, anyway, there's a whole thing behind it, actually. The opening to Scott Pilgrim is actually, the opening to Scott Pilgrim, the animated show, came out, and that looks cool. It looks like a good animated opening. Looks pretty classic, and I don't know, looks like a good opening I wouldn't skip, basically. I guess that's the best thing to say about it. And the Bad Guys Holiday Special, which looks like Mark Maron's voice isn't in it, which I thought was interesting. But Sam Rockwell is, and it looks like, I think the premise is they messed up Christmas, but they also want everyone to be inside for Christmas so they can rob all the banks, so they have to figure out a way to get Christmas to happen. I thought that was a cool concept. All right, so nobody got this. I was a little not surprised. This is also a trivia question I did at the dinner table, and they just had me guess it. The other Australian cartoon produced by an Australian, which would be considered an Australian cartoon, that had a balloon is Felix the Cat. Felix the Cat was produced by an Australian American named Pat Sullivan. Now, oftentimes people credit Pat Sullivan for making... that's not even Sam Rockwell? Oh, damn. I should have looked that up. It sounded... They did a good Sam Rockwell sound like. A lot of times, so it kind of controversially now, but not controversially then, was it always say on Felix the Cat a Pat Sullivan cartoon, but it's actually made by this guy Otto Mesmer, who really is the guy. He's the, I guess, Iwerks of Felix the Cat, pretty much. But at the time, that was just how they did it. So Felix the Cat is technically a Australian cartoon. So that would be the other one. I believe that's, yeah. I don't think it was a trickster. Okay, that's what I didn't trick anybody. Well, it was, but he's honest. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I thought that's what he meant. That's what I was referring to. I thought, because when I saw it, I thought Pat Sullivan's Australian. So that's what I was like, Felix the Cat. This makes sense to me. Anyway. I thought it's like Bluey, Felix the Cat. I like those two being friends. So I'm going to say that. All right. Is the character Mickey Mouse ripped off? You're not wrong, dude. Felix the Cat was famous before Mickey Mouse. So, All right. I'm gonna pee very quick. Then we're gonna do. People really feel tricked by that. I don't know. I mean, unless our bananas and pajamas, I guess they're Australian. I don't remember if they had a balloon. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm picking. But when I read that, that's my own interpretation. But anyway, I don't think the Wiggles had a. That's not a certified trick. I said it was a longer cartoon. I hinted many times that the cartoon had that it was a long before I was born, so that takes out the pajama bananas thing. Uh, anyway, um, that, I think it. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I think Felix Scout was one of the first ones too. So anyway, I thought it was pretty. I thought someone would have got it, but whatever. All right, Felix agrees with me over here, I guess. Oh, also, I didn't say happy birthday, Godzilla. 69th anniversary, nice. Anyway, I'm going to pee very quickly. Then we will talk about Superbuns, the show that, Austin worked on. I don't feel tricked. Thank you, Carter Wright. Uh, um, well, the Wiggles they don't have a balloon. Yeah, that's true. The Wiggles are there, but I think specifically the producer said balloon. Maybe I should look up if, maybe, you know what? I didn't look up if that's what the producer meant, but that's what I meant it to be. That's what I was talking about. Everyone's saying this is Jim fights the chat stream. I don't agree with that. But all right, so we're going to do the segment on Super Buns. Then I'll do the few Patreon questions, and we'll do questions we write out. I think it'll end at like 9:40, 9:45 since or 12:40. Sorry, and we're not going till tomorrow morning. Um, uh, oh, hey, Super Dusky, and thank you for the super chat last night again. It's a trick. I would actually like to. I've not actually seen Heat either, to be honest with you. I need to do that at some point as well. But anyway, we will talk about Super Buns that Austin does not want me to give him sole credit for. But that's basically the reason we're reviewing it. And which will be quick, and then we'll do it's not about me. I feel like I'm majorly embarrassing Austin. I don't think he realized why he wanted me to. You should have never suggested it. But I'll give it anyway. We'll talk about that real quick. I'm just gonna pee, and then we will. I'll be right back, and all that stuff. Thank you all for being here tonight, and we will. Yes, I will be right back after this, very quickly, and then we'll continue on. Okay, see you soon. See now I want to look up. I was right. Hold on. Australian cartoon in Macy's parade. I thought I was right. For the first time, but okay, it says Bluey joins. What does it say? Bluey joins for the first time. Oh, this is from last year. You know, there's a picture of Bluey, children balance. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, Bluey's as big as 7 taxi cabs. That's cool. I should just find that. Where is it? Hold on. Now I want to know if I'm wrong. I mean, I wasn't. I think I was right. I'm always right. I don't. So a lot of people want me to talk about the Steven Universe thing. I mean, I don't. You know, it always. Yeah, I don't. If they make more, that would be cool. We'll see if they do. But good luck with her album, I would say. And if they do more, that would be neat, I think. I don't know. Bluey on Disney Plus, January. Oh, that was a different thing. Okay. Yeah, he has Felix and the Cat in the thing. And then someone says, I didn't know. Oh, that's why I thought that. Yeah, okay. So I want to confirm in the... Oh, okay. Well, so someone actually said didn't. Okay. So I'm confirming on this guy's tweet that it was Felix the Cat. So I was right. Okay, cool. But some people said that's a bit of a stretch. But anytime we can bring in Felix the Cat, why not? Sorry, that... I was very surprised people didn't get that. I don't know. Sorry. The Titanic will finally be on 4K UHD around January 5th. I didn't know that. My daughter loves Titanic, and she dressed up as Rose for Halloween. So big Titanic family right now. I will say we've watched so many Titanic things. It's like, anyway, one day I'll tell you about them. So we're gonna do a quick thing on the show Superbuns, which Austin just helped with casting and scheduling records. But I will say the casting and the recording schedule you could see in the show I watched, and they're both amazing. Also, if anyone who worked on the show is watching this, I want to say Austin's a really great guy and really just wanted me to review it, I think, to help well, okay, Felix is considered American, but the producer stretched this first. I'm using blame the guy who wrote Talk to Me. Don't entirely blame. I'm very surprised this became such a thing. Sorry. Anyway, so I want to say Austin's a great guy, and I'm sorry if I embarrassed him in any way. I think he's, but he wanted to help promote the show, so that's what we're basically doing. So Superbuns is about a super bunny who wants to help people and stuff, and I'm mainly talking about the only one I watched, which was Miss Bouncy McBouncer, about one of the animals bounces a ball, gets stuck in a tree, and Superbuns has to get it out. It's like 5 minutes of Superbuns failing, much like The Folly of Man, or how failure is our first. I don't know. Yeah, it's about The Folly of Man is what Superbuns is about, but it's more about like kindness and sharing and working together as a group and stuff. As a kids cartoon, it's actually pretty decent at it. The gags might go on a little long and stuff like that, but I actually thought it does its message well. It's cute enough. It's kind of silly enough. At one point, Superbuns tries to climb up a balloon ladder, which was kind of funny. But I thought it was kind of a cute show. I don't think my kids watch it. We don't really have Peacock or anything like that, but it seemed fine. It looked decent enough. I would be curious to see a little bit more. I didn't because of time and stuff like that. But I think whoever worked on it should give Austin a big ups for trying to promote your show. And also, I think if you do have kids and you see it, it's not, I would recommend at least checking it out. I think a lot of kids would probably enjoy it. And it's, a fun, good time for that. I think it's good at what it's doing. So, this close. But anyway, Austin's a good guy. You should have him do more casting and recording and stuff like that. I didn't know it featured a same-sex married couple. Hey, good for Superbuns. Anyway, sorry, I'm just gonna cut that really short. I feel like I don't want to embarrass Austin. He's done so much for the show and the Discord. I feel really bad. So let's let's move on. This was a weak segment, let's say. But you did. Hey, congrats in general to Austin, and let's move on. All right, I'm gonna write questions in the chat. I'm gonna do the Patreon questions. I'll just write questions below. We'll try to do as many in the next 15, 20. And then this will be the end of the Saturday era, I guess. I'm going to take maybe a drink of this. Whoa. Cornbread's going to ask the question. Okay, I'm curious about that. But seriously, congrats, Austin. I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. Maybe we shouldn't do ones you worked on. But yeah, the episode I watched was partly on YouTube. So if you want to check out Superbuns, it is on YouTube. So if you're curious about it. So first question from Patreon, Nathaniel Foga asks, favorite era of Sesame Street? Actually, I do like the early era, and I like how they used different animation studios. Eventually, it sort of became an in-house thing and became less experimental and weird. I do like that early era in the 70s, 60s, 70s era a lot for that. And I do think a lot of the shows still hold up when I watch them with my kids, to be honest with you, because they love to watch my daughter watched the one with the Wicked Witch like a lot of times. But I kind of that's a difficult question because I like the era I grew up with, particularly the one with R2-D2 and C-3PO. Every time they came out as a kid, I would freak the fuck out. I thought it was so cool. But I kind of like the era my kids grew up in because I remember that more, and I like, how many issues it brings up, how it tackles things, how it talks about like issues that they can remember, how they fall in love with Elmo, all the things with Mr. Noodle. So I think like that's the one I've been more conscious and present for and can remember fully because I wasn't like, my brain wasn't learning how to make memories and stuff when I watched it. So I would say like I probably respect artistically the 70s, 60s, the early eras, mostly because, I mean, as you know, I love, like, when I was talking about the animator who made, like, the Quart of Milk, Stick of Butter stuff, as well, whose name, I was doing a bunch of his shorts for a little bit on here, but I think I mostly like the current era before this new thing, because obviously that's a new era. That's not a criticism what they're going to do yet, because they haven't done it yet. Cineram asks, would you care to predict how many years or decades the Marvel Cinematic Universe will continue? They've been stumbling the last few years, but I believe the ship will be righted and the films will inspire excitement once again. I don't think it will go on forever. But I do think I think when X-Men hits, it's probably got another good 10 years. And then it's just going to become a cult thing. And then it'll probably dissipate after that. But I think it'll be like Westerns where it took over Hollywood for a very long time. And it slowly petered out. And then was gone. So I think it'll be, let's say like 2060s, 2050s, 2060s. I think something like that. But I don't actually see it fully going away as everyone's speculating. Unless like if they screw up X-Men, I think it's over at that point. I don't see it coming back. But if they nail X-Men, which I still think they can, they're able to make a very good Hollywood big budget superhero movie. If they're able to do that, then they'll be fine. So, it's really dependent on that. I think that studio very much hinges on the future of that studio hinges on if they can nail X-Men. I think Fantastic Four is like an achievement. They want to make a good one. That's fine. But I think those are the real things that they need to see that. Austin asks, hey Jim, what a great show. Do you think there's a right age to stop and retire from filmmaking like John Carpenter, who who recently said he enjoys chilling, playing video games, and watching basketball? Or would you prefer directors never stopped? This I kind of have. It's sort of director dependent because as much as I like what Scorsese is doing with Killers of the Flower Moon, and I think I didn't like The Irishman, but I've liked a lot of his later stuff. Maybe not as good as his early stuff. I think it is director dependent and film dependent and things like that. I don't think it is universally like directors should stop at like 40 or something like that. I think it really depends on how inspired they are, what kind of stuff they're making, like what choices they make and things like that. I think it depends on the director. And I also think Carpenter, didn't he direct something from his home, like remote recently? I don't know what happened with that. So I don't even think he retired, to be honest with you. Okay, so now we're done with the Patreon question. I knew Cornbread asked about this, said, screw it, I'll ask anyways. Hey, wasn't it wild how Blade and Dune 2 came out yesterday? Sure, it's no Barbenheimer, but figured more people would be talking about it. So I think what inspired people to actually be joking about Dune 2 and Blade was Scott Mendelson, sorry, different person. Scott Mendelson tweeted, like, it's crazy how Dune 2 has made no money this weekend. And because he's a pretty big box office guy. And he was writing how, like, Dune 2 had made no money this weekend. It's like a joke because Dune 2 was supposed to come out this weekend. And then people started talking about Blade and all that stuff. But it's funny to bring up because those films have been pushed around so much. Like, it's like, oh my God. Question, will Disney buy Dragon Ball? I don't think so. I don't think they would. They haven't really shown much interest in anime as a company. Now, in Box 64, if you were ever given $1 million, what would you do with it? Just not go to work and maybe make videos and stuff. Probably that. Put out cartoons more because I have a lot of money. Yeah, probably that. Maybe we'd go on a vacation. That'd be cool. Black CX Uncle said, have you ever been to Alias, or do you know it's supposed to have an S? I don't know what the fuck that is. And do you know it's not ALD? I don't know what that is. So no, I haven't because I'm confused. Gary said, what's your take on Rebecca Sugar announcing she's interested in doing more Steven Universe? I mean, that's cool. It's like, I don't know. I don't really talk about that stuff because it's sort of like if I'm going like, whatever, it's like I'm too, I obviously, knew her and stuff like that. So it's a little partiality in terms of that. So it's not worth it. To me, it's like, yeah, if she wants to, I think she should. I think, move on to other stuff. I think too often these creators get stuck into one thing. And I was actually watching a video on Osamu Tezuka, who I think I'm saying that wrong. And people were talking about Miyazaki, and literally Osamu Tezuka's last words were, please let me work. But I think like with someone like him, he created so many different things. And I feel like now it's so hard for people to do that. And I kind of wish more of these creators would do more, be able to create more worlds and more things, despite like the fandom of a particular property. So if that's what she wants to do, good for her. I think she should do other stuff, but if she doesn't want to do that, she should do what she wants to do. That's, if she's interested, sure. But good luck with the music, I guess. Cornbread says, apologies I'm making you spell out the joke, but like what you said about how Marvel shows should be more detached, was that a joke about the Netflix shows being exactly that? No, it really wasn't. It was just like, I think that worked out better, particularly with the DC stuff, because that had its own cult and like it had its own fans, and you rarely hear them brought up with the movies, and they could be a separate entity. I was kind of being serious, actually. Nathaniel Fuga, think they should do another theatrical Sesame Street movie. They keep talking about it. I wouldn't mind it, but I think it's a property that kind of gets forgotten about by a lot of people, and I think it's popular to an extent, but I don't know if it works. You'd have to have a really good concept. Like, I think Follow That Bird works. The Elmo movie doesn't really work as well. I think you'd have to be like Follow That Bird. If you have something like Follow That Bird, both conceptually, it doesn't have to be Follow That Bird or be about Big Bird. It would work. You have to give someone something to bite on. So like people who are not just watching every day would be excited for, which would overall help the brand. I think if you did it right, it could really work out for that whole property and stuff. Austin said, favorite shoe brand? I find Nike and Adidas too narrow. I like New Balance. I have big feet. I'm like a size 13 wide. So like, it's sort of like, does shoe fit me? Cool. And so if you were a company that makes my shoe size, then that one. Black Sea Excellent Gold. Favorite generic product from the grocery store or just in general? Generic. I don't know. I don't mind bread or like mustard or something like that. Every now and then, I'm just in the mood for that. Nathaniel Fuga, ever listen to All American Rejects? Yes, but they're not my thing. Sorry. Carter Wright, favorite Arthur episode? Barely watched that show, so I can't really answer with any real authority. Have you ever considered shaving the beard to have a sick Paul Blart mustache? That would be cool, but no, I have not considered. I did that once for a short film, which I don't know what happened to it. So that's probably the only time I really had a mustache. Last question for me for Nanbox64. Which place would you like to visit in the near future? I have never been. I would like to go a little more Western America. I wanted to go to Japan. I don't know. Traveling's like so hard, and it's like so hard to have any money. I kind of am like, we're in New York City. I've been up into. That's kind of like where I'm more at right now. Honestly, but I don't know. Traveling's cool, but sometimes I'm just like being able to just do your thing is cool too, I guess. I know that's not the greatest answer, but did you know Abe Vigoda was in The Good Burger? No, I didn't, because I haven't seen it. So maybe soon I will. What was your first comic book movie you saw in theaters? That is a good question. I might be Rocketeer. Yeah, I think it's Rocketeer. Right? Yeah, I think it is. I do remember, because there's so few comic movies, people would consider Transformers and G.I. Joe comic book movies, but they're not. Also, Marvel's involved in the production, so I guess, but whatever. Following what you meant, this is Cornbread, following what you mentioned during your Five Nights at Freddy's review, in your opinion, no halfway, was game movies better when the game company were barely involved, like in the 80s or 90s, or very involved like now? I mean, the 80s and 90s movies weren't good, but I don't think, like, the way they're involved, it just feels too perfectly product ready, and none of them are amazing films. They're sort of just, like, very bare bones and stuff like that. So I do feel like maybe they need someone who can toe the line better, but let's be honest, like, the two this year did not have great directors. The direction wasn't great. I don't think, like, looking through the video game movies I've reviewed in the playlist when I added Five Nights at Freddy's, I was thinking, like, not a lot of these have, like, amazing direction or great filmmakers involved. So I think, like, maybe that's the real issue. But Nathaniel Fogel, is Dark City that good? Fuck yeah, it is. Dark City's great. I believe Roger Ebert put it as, like, his number one movie of the year, I'm pretty sure. And he gave an amazing commentary to it. It is a really good movie. People sort of forget how acclaimed it was at the time. When will Austin's evil twin Casey Austin Texas meet? I don't know. That sounds funny. Not plausible. What's your opinion on Jon Stewart? I don't know. I kind of feel like, we talked about it last week, what happened with that show and how Apple canceled it, which I don't think was right of them to do. He doesn't, like, age that well. I feel like his era was his era, and he should have just sort of left it. And supposedly, what I heard from behind the scenes and what we saw publicly is he saying, like, he was a little maybe, like, miffed by, like, John Oliver sort of taking the spotlight, and he wanted that kind of thing, so that's why he did his show. And I think that's, like, I think he's probably a little more vain than, like, people want to admit. But question, favorite Wings/Paul McCartney song from Carter Wright? I'd probably see Band on the Run. That's an interesting one. I didn't talk about the Beatles song, which was okay. The production was not really very good. I was disappointed by the production. The song was good, though. But I think, to be honest, like, I think the problem with McCartney recently, like, he did that cool Beck song and his recent album was good, but, like, I feel like he'll work with a good mixer producer and then he worked with Nigel Godrich, and that was a really cool album. And then the next album was like nowhere near as good. So it's like, to me, like he like, I don't know, it's like a real hit or miss with him, and I thought it was a real missed opportunity. I kind of think they should have maybe gotten a Nigel Godrich. I mean, it's amazing what they did with the AI, and the AI was only really to separate the piano from Lennon's vocals. It wasn't. Anyway, question: how will the MCU compete with the Sony Spider-Man universe featuring hit character like Morbius and Big Will? I don't know if they will. Favorite coffee, if you have one. I get we have an espresso machine, and I can't remember the company right now, but I like espresso a lot. That's what we do. Nathaniel Fogg, I think they'll bring back Wonka bars to promote the new film. I bet you they would. They have Wonka cereal. I saw at the store today. Oh, all this is a cheap grocery store chain, good place. They stock some German stuff. I didn't not have any. There might be some in New York, but I've never had any near me. So I do actually know what you're talking about now that you reminded me of that, but I don't actually know. Never been in. I think I might have been in one once. So, yeah. Austin, I like your Venture Brothers point. Good point about it. Would be cool to see Doc and Jackson do something else. Question, not really a question, but I hope you don't mind me working out listening to this. You can do whatever you want, as long as you're listening. It's cool with me. What's with being the final Saturday ever and being an end of an era? As if you said this is also the end of a famous Star Wars character, the Katana Wolfman. Thank you for bringing that joke back, Cornbread. I love that. Circle? Okay, whatever your name is. I'm sorry. I was watching an old fan mail video on the channel Cool Duder where Sean and MJ opened something for you and Ian, and I always blown. Do you remember that? Yes, I do. So Cool Duder is from Maryland, and I knew he made videos, and I'd watch them. I used to watch them. I really lost touch with what happened to that guy. I knew he lost a lot of weight, and MJ Kelly left and all that stuff. But he'd have these mail videos, and I just said to Ian, like, if we send them some stuff, even if they don't watch the video or ever care about Knockforce again, they will just give us a shout out. So that's like honestly why I did it, which sounds pretty lame, but it was like it was way harder to get promo back then because nobody had a podcast. It was like so hard to get on anything. So it was kind of for that reason. But yeah, I do remember that. That was my doing specifically. But I like their like, let's see a movie and walk around and show our whole day seeing the movie, and we'll review the movie while we're like getting food and doing this. I actually do still think that's a cool concept. I think he sort of gave up on that, but it was a cool idea, and it was a neat vlog movie idea. And part of me wanted to do something like that, and I think it's a hard idea to really nail. I think they did at the time. Blocks the Oxenwinkle. Do you call long sandwiches subs or hoagies? I've always called them subs, to be honest. Let's get some people who we have not had. That was crazy. You brought up. I can't believe that video is still up about Cool Duder. Thank you for that one. I'm glad it blew your mind. I've been doing so many different things. Who are Sean and MJ? It's Sean C. Phillips. Anyway, that's crazy. You surprised me. Yeah, I don't love the dead. Yeah, I don't know. I'm agree with you about using dead artist material and making new stuff. It's not. I mean, I grew up during like all those Tupac albums and stuff, and it's always been sort of weird when they do it. But I mean, I guess like you have this material, you want people to hear it, and like I like that Nirvana box set that came out. My opinion, that song is actually a song I really like. So sometimes I'm okay with it, but it does feel a little weird. So. Anyway, that was a blast from the past there. Thank you. I'm not sure how to say your name, but that was really cool. Anyway, all right. So thank you all for being here again. Sorry we took a little breaks and we started late. Now it's very late, and I actually need to do dishes, so you might not see the timestamps for a little bit. But I just want to say thank you all who we started the show on Saturday. I'm glad to be doing it more. I think, the first one will be November 15th, which is at this point 10 days, right? Yes. And I don't know what the date is after that, but I'll let you know on November 15th. But I want to say thank you for starting the show on a Saturday. I'm sad to see Saturday go, but at the same time, I think it's a better way to do it, because as I was walking around today, I was like, this is hard to do on a Saturday with all the kids and stuff. This was, I don't think you could do this long term. So it's sort of a, kind of today proved to me like this is not sustainable for this show. So, but it was fun doing it while I could on Saturdays. But I'm glad to be doing it more regularly. I liked it. This is always a lot of fun. I'm sorry I didn't get to do a Tommy Tubi thing or something like that. I think maybe he should only show up with Tubi stories. But I want to thank you all, because you guys have really made the show what it is, because it's fun talking with you. And I think that's why this is different from the reviews. And, oh, cool, Super Dusky. Well, I hope you have a good birthday. If you can't be here with us and are doing birthday fun, I hope you have a good time. But you all sort of made the show and made it what it is, because it's honestly more hang out with you and getting the Super Chats and drinking the Red Bulls or whatever it is. So I want to thank you all for that, and all the segments and all the good times we've had on Saturdays. But it will continue. I'm sorry I'm making a bigger deal of it. I just wanted, if anyone wanted to be here for the last one, I wanted to make sure they knew. And I kind of just want to, be a little ceremonial about it, because I think it was a big thing for all this. So, anyway, good night to all of you. I have a bunch of stuff to do. So I should definitely end this now. But I want to thank you all. Thank you all who gave us Super Chat during the show. Cheers to all of you for being such cool fans. I will see you live on Wednesday the 15th for the first Wednesday show. And yeah, I hope you all have a good night, a good daylight savings. I hope the strike ends on Monday or doesn't get worse. And yeah, I hope you all go see some cool movies, and we'll see you all. Makes the next one Friday the 13th? What? No, it doesn't. What? No, that doesn't make sense. You're confusing me. Anyway, good night to you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for anyone who's been here on a Saturday. But I hope to see you come over to the next thing. Thank you all for everything. Cheers to you all. And have a good night. I'll see you all next time. Peace and good luck to everyone.